I love to imagine when I'm in these rooms with ladies like yourself that it's like just one-on-one. And when we talk, it's like imagine if someone's talking and the other person's not talking back or they put the camera off. It's like, oh, I'm in the room by myself. But it's great to have you here, ladies. So welcome, welcome, and taking this time to invest in you. And I'm here to serve you in that way, so that this is a really good investment of your time. And I do respect that. So really, really grateful, and I'm also very grateful, Tanya, you're here in the room with me, supporting these lovely ladies. How we'll work today is I'm going to share with you some concepts. We're going to do some reflection work, and I'm going to do some interactive work as well. And I love to use the chat, right? So if you've got any thoughts or insights that you're taking away, there's two really great reasons why you can use the chat, or I encourage you to use the chat. One is that we're engaging, right? We're in the room together. And the other is, adult learning is when you're taking in a concept and you take the insight from it and you jot it down, it actually locks it in for you even more. So it's a really, really valuable way to engage with each other, but also to serve yourself in this way as well. So before I go on too much about adult learning concepts, let's get into it. We're here to activate your next level, whether that's in leadership, in your career level, in other areas of your world, in your business, whatever it is. We're here to focus on that today. And I absolutely believe, and I know through firsthand experience, that your next level is going to come through you, right? That's why we have to activate our next level internally so that we can take the steps, make the connections, create the results that we want in our external world. So that's what we are here to do. And I want to, share with you a concept, or get you starting to think about questions here that are, what if this next level, right? This next level that you're really wanting, what if the real reason it hasn't landed just yet? What if the real reason has nothing to do with your experience, your capability, your strategies you've been using? And it has everything to do with actually what's happening internally, the invisible limits that have been running the show. All right. What if your next chapter becomes inevitable once you level up internally, once you activate your next level identity that aligns with the next level results that you're looking for? Because I don't know if you've seen my posts recently, and I've shared this concept a lot. Results don't lie. They simply tell us what's been going on internally for us to be able to get those results externally. And what we're here today is to activate your internal next level success so that you can materialize the next level results you want in your external result, in your external world, right? And it absolutely starts within. And what you're going to learn today, what I'm going to share with you, is a really it's a simple three-phase process, right? And it's a proven pathway. I've been doing this work for coming up to nearly 10 years. Obviously, my work has evolved as I've evolved in the learnings that I've done and what I'm sharing with people. But this proven pathway gives you the clarity and the direction that you need for this next chapter, whatever that next level is for you, so that you know what it really is, and then you can start moving towards it. It helps you build not just an external level of confidence. It's an embodied, a deep, unshakable confidence that's quietens the voices, the self-doubt, the self-sabotaging ways, old limits that have got you to this level. Helps you not just take aligned action, but aligned in your thinking and your energy, right? They're both a powerful combination. Our internal energy, which is, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our beliefs, our whole programming internally, and coupling that with our action and using what I like to really, this is the key, the absolute secret sauce here that gives you the most accurate roadmap you're ever going to need. And this is actually accessing your inner authority, your intuition. So you can finally release what's been holding you back, get unstuck from those programs that have been keeping you there, or at the crossroads, right? If you feel like you've, reached the top of the curve at the moment, the S curve, you've gone up the S curve, we want to make sure we get you onto the next S curve that goes up again in your career, rather than start sliding down the other way, because that is often what happens to people when they reach this point where they're ready for more. And they either don't know what more is yet, or they know what more is and they don't know how to get on with it. These are the things that actually are going to be really important to get you unstuck so you can finally, stop swinging from stress to success and back again with yo-yo results, or experiencing burnout or hesitation, self-doubt. For me, burnout was a big thing. I experienced that a few times before I realized that I could actually get myself out of that loop and activate what's already been there. It's always been there, right? It's just buried underneath the conditioning and the way we think we need to be and show up in this world, right? It's
Mm.
really important to make sure that we're really activating what is already within us, right? So I'm guessing I've been doing this work. I run these workshops, not necessarily all the same content, but I certainly meet with a lot of women like you ladies. And I know women who turn up to these events aren't not trying, right? I know that you're here because it's not that you're not trying. Maybe you've tried to figure out the path forward and how to get going. Maybe you've tried to do some work before to figure out what your internal limits and blocks are to your progression in your career or how you feel about yourself as you work through your career. Maybe you've tried talking to others. Maybe you downloaded some freebies, attended a few masterclasses like this, perhaps surfing YouTube. Maybe you've even tried to create change before, right? You've changed maybe your new job, new company, gone for a promotion. Maybe you've landed a promotion. Maybe you've tried to do other things, right? Maybe you've tried to focus on fixing what you feel has been not right with you or right with your strategy, right? And the third one that I often hear people doing is they try to just accept maybe this is all there is for me, right? They have this quiet resignation and they end up operating through these old programs on an ongoing basis, settling for what I say, the crumbs, right? Not the cake. You want the cake as well and eat it too, right? Settling for what feels or what we've been told is realistic, right? We diminish our dream or we give up on it, right? Which is just heartbreaking. And they end up staying in a very, I call it the familiar zone. It's not the comfort zone for a lot of people. It's just very familiar because where you're feeling right now might not be feeling so good, right? I also know that when people get to this point, they're perhaps feeling frustrated because they have tried some things in the past and they haven't worked, or they're feeling a bit fearful. Maybe there's a bit of an undercurrent of what if I create change and it doesn't work, right? And they're future pacing themselves. I know you're not here because you're not trying. It's because you haven't had a strategy or a pathway or the support, whatever it is for you, that works for you, right? That actually unlocks the next level yet, right? I want you to remember this three-letter word. It's such a powerful word in the English language. It goes from I've reached the end of my road to, oh, the road's just opened up for me, right? So yet is really important. And what I'm going to do while we're here is give you as much as I can to create some transformation, some activations in this session. And it's so wonderful that you ladies are here live. I know there's a number of people who are going to be watching this on the replay. And it's really important that if you haven't booked in your call with me, part of your ticket to this masterclass is that, well, I don't just teach you these concepts, but we're actually going to get together one-on-one. I know seeing some of the names and faces in the room with me live today, we have some calls booked, which is just fabulous. I'm really excited to meet you personally and dive into your journey. If you haven't yet done that, I know Tanya's got a link there. I'm just going to get you to drop it in the chat, Tanya, for the ladies who haven't yet booked in their call. Because this is actually a really intensive way to look at what you need personally to activate your next level. What do you take from these concepts, from the three phases that I'm going to share with you today that actually are going to make sense for you in your world and what you need? Because let's face it, we're all different. It's not a cookie cutter approach. This methodology I'm sharing with you today, it's actually a framework that allows you to create your bespoke roadmap. So just Tanya, if you can do that, that would be great. Now, for those of you who haven't been in one of my masterclasses before, if we haven't worked together yet, we're only just, tick-tacking on Messenger. You might be wondering, Janine, what's your story? Why should I listen to you? What's your backstory so you can understand why what I'm sharing with you today has a solid foundation for, sharing with people like yourself. For me, I'm a mum. I have two teen boys. One's quite a bit taller than me these days, and the other one's getting there quite quickly too. I've spent about 20 odd years in a corporate career before I started my own business, coming up to about nine years ago now in my own business. But before that, 20 odd years in corporate and in large, heavy industries, very male dominated industries, oil and gas, mining, construction, manufacturing, and on multi-billion dollar projects. And what I've learned through my entire journey, personally and professionally, is that change, creating change, transformation. I like to call it transformation because people sometimes think change, they have to leave their job and do something different. But creating transformation, transforming into this next level, materializing the results you want is, I've been doing that all my career for businesses, for teams, for leaders, for organizations, and for women like you personally in your journey. And I know that it requires a systematic approach, and that's why I want to share that with you today. Um, in my own personal journey, I achieved a lot of success. Right? I worked really hard. Like I said, burnout was my pattern, my loop. I got the roles, I got the ticks, the promotions, the results, the money, the big pay packet, and I got to share with you that I was absolutely exhausted. I had a little image of myself yesterday, actually, and it's an inspiration that I'll do a little reel. You'll probably see it pop up on LinkedIn. I feel like getting a photo of myself, just like this one. This was me in 2015, right? A beautiful big smile. And what it was hiding though, this photo of myself, I feel like I'm walking around at that time in my life. I was walking around with a photo of myself in front with a beautiful big smile, but move the photo to the side. And I was struggling, really struggling. And I felt like, I was doing all the long hours, proving myself, pleasing everyone at work, at home, in my family. And I was, feeling like, is this all there is for me? I was wanting more. I was doing work, like a major project at that time. I'd been on the project, leading the project, redesigning the future state organisation. And then they gave me the wonderful job to say, hey, Janine, here's 5,000 people fitted into the number you just told us, which is 2.5, to operate this future state organisation. And that was a very intense project of letting people, go and sitting across the table from people who'd been doing their career for 35 years and didn't have a next step for them. And I was feeling incredibly guilty for wanting more because it was a high profile project. Like I said, they gave me all the ticks. But I wanted more for myself than that. I wanted to feel really, fulfilled inside, and I wasn't. I was exhausted. And I tried to create some change. I tried to do some things, started up a couple of businesses. That didn't work. I did it all on my own. And I didn't lean into the key principles I'd been living from in my career around transformation. And when I did, right, those things started to really shift for me. But in that time, because I didn't have a way forward and I didn't have someone in my corner, I was really doubting myself, doubting my capabilities, doubting whether I could do anything different to what I'd already done, doubting, and even that started to, erode. I felt like, well, if this is all there is, well, am I any good at that anymore? I was feeling really demotivated. But what I didn't realize at the time that I was operating from old programs. I was absolutely stuck in survival mode, operating from a learned version of myself, right? Who I thought I was, who I thought I needed to be to get by in this world, right? And I kept thinking that I could just work harder, keep doing, keep pushing, keep perfecting, keep showing up. Then I'd be okay. Then I'd be fulfilled. Then I'd be successful. Then everything would stay on the rails, right? But I didn't realize at the time that what I was doing to myself. I was experiencing this long history of stress. I desperately wanted to feel fulfilled at work and at home, and having that beautiful harmony, right? And having results that felt like they were flowing for me, not that I had to force them and push for them, and not that I had to almost like hit the override switch on all this undercurrent that was happening inside me, what I was telling myself. And it all caught up with me. It absolutely all caught up with me. And it forced me to stop. I have a lifelong autoimmune condition now because of the stress that I put myself under for so long. I struggled for a very long time to have children, infertility, in idiopathic infertility, they called it, because it was undiagnosed. What was happening was my body just would not let me incubate a baby at that time because I was in such stress and my autoimmune dysfunction was dysregulated all over the place. So I was having extreme challenges, and throughout that, my marriage crumbled. I lost my marriage in that. And financially, I ended up, I moved state at that time. I collapsed on the side of the road, and a stranger called. Couldn't even lift my head to look at this person's beautiful face. It was an accent not from Australia, and all I could see were her orange thongs. She saved my life that day. And, it took a big shake for me to wake up to be able to say there actually is more than this. I saw something for the first time more clearly than I'd ever seen before. And that was that, that beautiful smiling face was hiding so much. And I knew that if nothing changes for me, nothing's going to change, right? My turning point was where I realized that all that success wasn't success without alignment, of being who I really am, of working in a way that works with me and for me, of sharing what I have to this with this world that really matters. And what I also realized, it does not come from that next level of what I really wanted. And whatever it is that you want next, it doesn't come from working harder and pushing harder. All of you ladies, I'm sure, are in this room because you have got some really great success under your belt too. Right? It comes from becoming more aligned with who we really are on the inside, more aligned with what we're here for, what our gifts can be channeled into, what our purpose and meaning is in this world, right? And the moment I realized this, it was the moment everything shifted for me. It absolutely did. Because, getting results wasn't the problem. I could push hard for results. Having strategies wasn't the problem. I had a gazillion of them. It was where I was at within my identity, my learned version of who I thought I was, who I thought I needed to be. Because you can't step into the next level of what you want in life, in career, in your leadership, in your business, in your, your results, in your money, in your wealth, in your health, whatever it is. You can't step into that next level from the old identity. What got you here is not going to get you there. And for me, that version of me, it needed a reset. It needed to be put to rest. But what I needed to do was to have a reset, right? And when I discovered how to do this for myself, this is what this 3-phase process I'm going to share with you today actually helps you do that. When I discovered how to do this for myself, every area of my life transformed, every single area. My next level gets to be, is now still, and ever expanding exactly as I've designed it to be for me, right? My version of success. Having the people in my life I love, having the career growth, the impact, building a business that I share all around the world, expanding my toolkits. I just love learning. I used to tell myself that I was no good at learning. I love learning. I'm always learning. Taking the adventures of my lifetime, but making it a lifestyle, not just a one and done. Having the beautiful presence and the clarity and alignment and the health, the vitality, the momentum in my life. And not just that, the world that I get to live in has expanded, right? I've been able to educate so many women like yourself, equipping you to be able to do this for yourself, right? Not to go and rely on somebody else to help you get past your limits, but equipping yourself to do that, because whatever's going on for you at this time in your world, once you get past this, you're going to want more. And when you want more, more limits come up. So you've got to be able to have a way to keep yourself moving forward and beyond and evolving consciously. Otherwise, we just keep recreating what we've already created. So many of these women have been able to move from beyond their crossroads, from beyond their patterns, keeping them stuck, the loops that cause them to self-doubt or self-sabotage or burn themselves out or overgive, overplease, overperform, right? Being able to do amazing things in the world, right? In fact, one of the phrases that I've coined because of so many women that I've worked with, and I'm one of them, right? I realized this when I think about myself like this, that People are wanting a portfolio career. They don't just want one thing that they're doing. They want to be able to have diversity in their world. And these women that I've worked with gone on to write books, go on stages, international stages, start businesses, expand their businesses, land their dream jobs, have picks of jobs, right? Not just be chosen for one job that they were hoping for, but actually have the pick of the jobs, get the flexibility, get the money. And they didn't do it by chance. They didn't do it by winging it, and they didn't do it alone. That's the thing, right? Women are so great at collaborating and connecting. That's why I love being in circles like this with you ladies, because when we can lean in to a circle that actually feels supportive and people get us, then it feels safe for us to explore what our next level is of who we are. It feels safe for us to explore, you know, our truths, right? I'm in a coaching circle. I host coaching circles like this for you ladies, but I'm actually in my own because, you never graduate from being human, right? We're always evolving, and we need people in our corner to help reflect back to us what our truths are and to help us rise above them. And I really want you to know that where I was at, I was in a deep, dark hole at that stage in my life, single mum, no income from my business. I'd left my corporate career. I had two young children. I'd moved back to a city I hadn't lived in for nearly 20 years. And I felt very much alone. And doing it alone feels terrible, I've got to say. But knowing that where I am now compared to where I was, if I can do it, I know you can. I absolutely know you can. And the women, I'm going to share you some insights on some other people's journeys throughout this session today. They were just where you were at. Some of them have achieved really great success. Some of them were feeling stuck and felt terrible about themselves. There's a spectrum, right? But each of them have been able to move beyond that because they've gone through these three phases. So what today is all about is an activation, not just an education. I really want you to reflect, and we'll just take a moment now to do that, right? I think it's really important to understand, where are you now, right? What's going on for you now, where you feel perhaps that you've outgrown your current level of what you're experiencing, current level in your career, current level in health, in wealth, in relationships, right? But so you're at that edge, right? You've outgrown, but you haven't activated the next one. Right? Just like the S curve I was sharing before. If you imagine the S curve, it's, at the bottom, you're sort of entry, learning, lots of questions that you're asking. As your S curve comes up, start to be the go-to person. You know how things work in your career. Then it hits a plateau at the top. That plateau is really pivotal. If you feel you've outgrown the current S curve that you're on and you're ready for the next, but you don't know, one, what it is, or two, how to get onto it, then the only way that's going to happen with that S curve is it starts to dip down the other side. And that's not a pretty place to be. So just allow yourself to reflect on that. And if you feel called to, I'd love to hear in the group. Is it in your career? Just in the chat here, drop it in the chat. Are you feeling like you've outgrown in your career, maybe in your leadership, the way you've been leading yourself or leading others? Is it in your industry, in your mission here? What is it? Just let me know if any of you are feeling, what are you taking away from this, what I've shared so far also? What's going on for you? Allow yourself to reflect in on what parts of your world, of your career, do you feel you've outgrown, feeling capped, feeling like you're ready for more. Because this is the moment, right, that it all begins. And to understand what activation is, activating your next level, I feel it's a really good starting point to have a look at what's deactivation. What's the opposite of that? There's so many people, in fact, I reckon it's a human condition. Humans are very good at looking at what's not working or what they don't want, right? So let's think about what deactivation is. It's a feeling state. Perhaps you're feeling blocked by others or circumstances, or even yourself, if you're knowing that, feeling stuck, overwhelmed, looping in old stories and old narrative, frustrated, unseen, undervalued, unheard, perhaps doubting yourself, exhausted, disconnected, questioning your worth, and losing momentum and motivation? Just let me know. Drop a 1 in the chat. Are any of those resonating for you? Are you feeling deactivated in any way? See the chat here. Yeah. Lot to offer in your career. Yeah. Previous roles of suppressed, knowledge and skills. Yeah. Okay, great. Good to acknowledge, right? You know, you've got more in the tank, right, Tracy? Looking to act to, next level in your career. Fantastic, Jenny. Breaking through, right? Feeling uncertainty. And that's so totally normal, Cecilia. Thanks, ladies. I think it's really important to understand where we're at. If you think of it like your phone, right? If you've got an iPhone or, Google Maps on your phone and you want to go somewhere, it always has 2 points, right? You can't draw the map just with the destination. You've got to know where you're at so you can understand how to move beyond. It's really important. So understanding where we are in our deactivation. Then ask yourself this question. Just drop a number in the chat. How long have you been feeling this way? Is it months? Year? Longer? Just let me know in the chat. Work through deactivated. Feel like of energy. Oh, fantastic, Jenny. I love it. You're ready. 4 years, Tracy. It's a long time, isn't it, right? Yeah. For me, I would say that deactivation stage was probably about 10 years I lived in that space. Keep trying the same things to break through and hoping for a different outcome. Right? So why are you here today? Just have a think about what really is it. So now that you've shared, you're ready to break through, as Jenny said. Maybe is it go deeper here? What is it that's holding you back? Struggling to own your value or voice? Maybe you're waiting for someone else to validate you or give you permission to move forward. Somebody else is capping you or circumstances are capping you. Maybe you get a bit of success and then can't hold on to it, so you swing back to stress mode again. Maybe you're in this loop, pushing harder, working harder, exhausted. That was me. That was definitely my pattern. Thinking that all the professional success, comes at a cost, has to come at a cost. We learn somehow that we can't have what we want unless we sacrifice something else. Maybe you've got to this point, this is where I got to, I was done going for what was acceptable, what others expected of me, and putting my dreams on hold. Or maybe, like you said before, you're wanting more, I'm ready for more. I want more fulfillment. What is it? What is more though? Like, what is the next level that you're looking for? What does that look like and feel like? Just let me know. Give me a hands up. Is anyone, for those things that I've just shared with you, any of those things resonating for you? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I put these in here because you're not alone. That was me for sure. And the women I help, they're, this is a common story. Absolutely. You're not alone. And what I've learned is that doing more of the same is not going to give you the different outcomes. But what activation looks like, one of these beautiful ladies here, Madavi, who has been working in the medical devices industry in quality for a long time, was feeling stuck ready for her next level, but feeling unseen. She didn't know how to articulate her value to others and break through. And she was working hard, right? She had a big direct energy of pushing harder, no failure, everything had to be right and exact. And she was exhausted and it wasn't getting her the results she wanted. But when she worked through unlocking her next level self, she was able to step in, creating the job that she wanted in her organization. It didn't exist before. She's loving it. Dream job, gets to fly all over the world, and she's feeling on purpose. She knows why the work she does in quality produces the quality of life for people that she impacts in the medical devices industry. Just absolutely loving it. When you look at what activation looks like, or sorry, what deactivated looks like, and you take a look at the invisible side of success, this is the real root cause. And it acts like a thermostat, you know, like your temperature thermostat, or your air conditioning thermostat, right? It's set at a certain set point. And this internal set point that we set for ourselves, funnily enough, informs our subconscious mind about what we can have, how much success we're allowing ourselves to have, how much validation, how much visibility, how many levels above us, what our wealth looks like, what our influence can be like, what our connections and circle can be like. So this internal thermostat is like a paradigm we're living within and we're creating from it. And the key here is it's unconscious. Everybody has it. It's unconscious, means you're not even aware that you're living from it until you start doing this work, right? Like Marcel. Marcel was at superintendent level, wanted to break through to department level, and she had been wanting that for a long time. She was feeling stuck, capped, frustrated, but within months of doing this work, she was able to step into that next level. The opportunity opened up and they put her in straight away because she was not just unlocking her next level identity within, but she was taking action on it, right? Having the conversations at that next level with that next level energy, right? Resetting the identity limits that had been keeping her capped. And not only did she get that promotion, but within months she was headhunted by two major mining companies and she got the pick of the job, right? She chose what she wanted and where the location was and the salary, etc. And her career has taken off since then. Not only that, she actually started a side business, a passion business. She was in geology, and she's her side business in rehabilitation, mine site rehabilitation, which is huge right now, right? There is a lot of focus on that in the mining industry. I want you to know, though, through this paradigm that you're living from, it is not your fault. It is absolutely how the human condition is and how history has taught us to be, how society, family systems, education systems, organization systems programs us from a very young age. In fact, scientists know that it's happening in utero when you're hearing your mother and all the hormones that your mother's, if your mum's got stress hormones going through her while you're pregnant or she's pregnant with you, that's affecting you as well, right? Conditioning is massive. And we live from it unconsciously until we become consciously aware of it through this work. We're conditioned to believe that the power is outside of us, in results, in others, in processes, in circumstances. And you have to do something in order to be worthy or good enough for the results that you want, right? Or you should be happy with what you have and feel guilty if you want more or put others first. You should be grateful. We get taught that we have to grow up, having that dream life. It's a dream, it's a fantasy. You can't really have it. It's not practical. It's not reality, right? You can't go for what you want. And we don't get taught how to really go for what we want. We get taught how to fit in, conditioned, right? We're also taught that in order to have what we want, we have to lose something else. Time, money, relationships, risk judgment, risk pressure, right? That it's not the done thing if you put yourself first. That it's better to keep the peace than speak your mind. So people minimize their voice, minimize their visibility, and that you should be lucky to be chosen instead of you being the one doing the choosing. So just take a moment, right, just to reflect. Where is your success thermostat set point currently around some of these areas, around your career? Because as I said before, results don't lie. If the next level you want hasn't showed up yet, and you really want it, but you haven't been able to break through, you're bumping up against the upper limit of your thermostat. Or maybe you've had some of that success, a taste of it, but you haven't been able to hold it. Your central nervous system won't let you stay outside the comfort zone to have it until we do the reset, right? So think about what areas of your world You are either bumping up against the limit or you're staying within that zone of familiarity. Like I said, it's not a comfort zone for a lot of people. They call it the comfort zone, but it is so uncomfortably in there, uncomfortable in there, right? Right. I want you to know, ladies, it's just not true. It's just conditioning, a learned version of who you believe or think you need to be in order to stay safe and loved in the world. Conditioning that's come with you since you were probably under 5. For most people, certainly under 7. You are not your thoughts, you just have them. You are not your results, you just create them. Right? You are not your perceived limits. You've just been living from them. You just have them. You're the owner of them. You're the creator of them. Right? And the powerful thing about when you know you're the creator of them, it means you can change them. And we know with neuroplasticity, right? We can have new neural networks created in our brain. We get to create them consciously all the way up till we're old and grey. The brain doesn't function exactly the way as it used to when you're young. Obviously, there's brain matter growing when you're under, when you're going through early stages of development, but we can create new neural pathways. We can remap, recode our neurology and reset our identity. It absolutely is possible. Right? And I know you ladies are here because you have a dream in your heart, right? You want something, you want the next level. And the truth is, those next level results are not going to come from you just doing more, especially not doing more of the same. You get them by becoming more, stepping into the next level of you, a version of you who is aligned with the next level results. And imagine it. I've got a coffee cup here in front of me. I haven't got my water bottle. Imagine you've got this container, right? Imagine, though, that you are the container. You've got your coffee cup right now with this level of results, but you want, here we go, I've got a big jar. You want this level of results, but you want the results to flow into the container, right? But more results, next level results, won't fit in the current container. You are the container. We have to get beyond the self-doubt creating from force or fear, right? That level container only gets to have this size results. But the next level container, the next level of you gets the next level of results to flow into you because you have a greater capacity to create, receive, hold, and expand on them. Right? This level of container built on authentic, embodied confidence, deep inner guidance, self-trust, and absolute alignment with who you really are and what you're really here for. So just like we did before, ladies, let's just go into a reflection mode and really connect with what would that feel like? What would it actually feel like to be fully in your personal power, fully in control of your destiny, fully grounded, calm, centered, confident, fulfilling your true and highest potential, what your purpose is here, your mission is here, being engaged, inspired, creating amazing work and leaving, a legacy, your impact. What are you here for? Being free to create, connect, and rest, not feeling like you have to keep hustling and everything's going to fall apart if you take your eye off the ball. Feel into what would it be like to be completely and utterly in love with your life, in your relationships, with you, even if it's messy or you make mistakes. Just really tune into that and start by feeling what that feels like. We have to become the container, and part of the process to become the container is to feel what that next level would feel like. Start to become familiar with it. All right, what are you taking away from what I'm sharing with you here, ladies? Let me just hear from you in the chat. Beautiful. Okay, I'm just catching up on your comments. Quite burnt out. Yeah, I get that. 2 little people, yeah. Help to reset. Fantastic. Taking a breather at a crossroads. Job wound up in April. Yeah, it is difficult when it feels like you don't know the way, or you're really looking for things to just land. Alignment, next, career move, and who I am holding me back is a little fear of compromising. Yeah, that belief is showing up there, Jenny, of we have to sacrifice something in order to have what we want. And so often, especially talking to a room full of women, a very common pattern is we have to sacrifice ourselves and our dreams and our goals to go for what we want. It's lies. We don't have to. We can create from flow. We can create in a way that actually serves us and the people we love and the people we're here to deliver our magic to in the world, right? Yeah. It's so worthy, the path, absolutely. Yeah, I want to get out of bed. Yes. Hell yeah. I love that, Tracy. Hell yes. Jump out of bed. Fantastic. Yeah. Showing up as the best version of you. Absolutely. Right. That's what we're here for. Because, at the end of the day, right? Someone's going to, whether you sprinkle your ashes out to the ocean, that'll be me, or you have a tombstone somewhere, it's not going to have loyal and loving employee of, is it? I used to have a whiteboard in my office. Every office I went into, and I moved around a lot because I had so many different projects that I had to do. Every office I have a whiteboard when I put a little tombstone on it, and I have dot, 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 RIP, dot, dot, dot. And it was a conversation starter. And that's the conversation we had. Like, what are you here for? What matters to you? Who do you want to go home to every night and hug? And what's your legacy? What's your mission and purpose here? For me, when I know I'm in my truth, I get tingles from the crown of my head and it just goes down my whole body. And when someone else is speaking their truth, I feel the same. And my mission is to help people be in that zone, like for you to be in your zone. Your zone is different to my zone, but it's the zone for you, right? Imagine feeling that version of life, getting up every day, like you said, Tracy. Hell yeah, let's go, right? That's what we're here for. So the problem is that most people, when they go for more, they think they've got to get into doing mode, right? Do, so they can have. But what they're really wanting is the feelings they get to feel from the having, right? That feeling state is actually what people are going for unconsciously. They're not realizing that. They think they're going for the next level, but what they're going for what the next level makes them feel like. So just ask yourself, right? What would I truly love? Just love for the hell of it. Love for love's sake. What would I love for my next chapter in my career? And why do I want that? Why do I want that for me, for my loved ones, for the people I get to impact, for the mission, for the businesses, for the environment, whatever it is for you? Why do I get to do that? Why do I want that? And most importantly, who is the version of me who gets to create that and receive it with ease? Now I want you to ask yourself, I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to finish this question, right? Feel into, just imagine like that was your reality, having all that you wanted. And say this sentence and finish it off in your own mind and notice what first comes up for you. I would love to have all of that. I would so love to have all of that, but I can't because what comes up for you? What's in the way? What's your resistance? What is in the way for you? Let me hear it in the chat. Even if it's just one word. Others, time, money, support, capability. What's your block? Compromising, yeah. Time with kids. Can't have it for them. Feeling stuck. Can't have it because I'm stuck. Yeah. All right. So let's make sure, ladies, that as you notice the resistance, you acknowledge that what's in the way is the way. If we keep avoiding the thing that's keeping us stuck, it's always going to keep us stuck. The resistance is not the block, it's the doorway. Right? That thing that you think you don't know, or that thing that you think that is going to be the problem, is the pathway of opening up. Right? It's absolutely is. And awareness is powerful, right? It opens the door. This activation with you, this next level of you, helps you walk through it. Right? And the pathway to do the activation in full, to make those results tangible, is what I call being the self-empowered woman. As I said to you before, my mission here, my mission in life, is to help women activate themselves, become self-empowered women. Come and journey with me so that you learn how to do this yourself. So you, not just this next chapter, it's every chapter thereafter, right? I'm 52. I'm only getting started. I'm half-life a clock. And I know that I've got so many horizons ahead of me, and I'm going to come up against my limits. I'm human too, right? But what I love is that when you know how to actually get yourself past your limits, the next step, the next chapter becomes inevitable. It's not, you're not in this doubting stage. Is it ever going to eventuate? Or am I going to hurt someone if I have what I want? Or am I going to get hurt myself? Right? You get to have what you want because it's coming through you, the next level of you. Remembering my story I told you before, being stuck, in a pretty dark place. In trying to go for that, I discovered there are three big problems. And, I've been doing this work for a long time with women, and they all have either one, two, or all three of these problems. So as I share with you these problems, just think about what's coming up for you. The first big problem is clarity, right? They don't know what their version of clarity is. Holistic, aligned vision of success, right? What's your version? And when you don't know what you want, your mind seems to focus on what you don't want. Lots of people are very clear about what they don't want, right? Or maybe they've got lots of ideas about what they want, but they can't decide. They don't know how to, move forward. So how can you materialize what you want if you're not really clear on what you want? Or how can others support you, or, bring you the work or give you the opportunities if you aren't clear? The second is confidence. Deep, calm, embodied confidence. If you're not fully owning your next level, right, whether it's at work or at home, if you're not owning it, if you're not able to really clearly articulate why, what it is the value you bring to this next chapter. And next level doesn't necessarily mean like next hierarchical level. Like I'm just assuming everyone's understanding your next level is whatever your next chapter is, whatever it is that you want, your version of success that you want to create. But if you're not owning what you bring to that, or your worthiness or deservedness of having that, right? And you're still trying to deal with self-doubt, or these stories telling you that you don't get to have it, something's going to go wrong if you do, right? Then how can others be confident to give you that opportunity? Say yes to you, yes to your ideas, pay you more, give you the promotion, bring in, choose you as their business partner, or pay you the money as your client, if you're not confident in you. And confidence, we all can spot fake it till you make it confidence, right? I'm not talking about just putting on the mask, pretending, because that puts out energetically that you don't back yourself. The third big problem is certainty. And this is the natural questions, like, well, how do I do it? Great, I got my idea, but how do I create the reality of it? They don't know the steps, so they stay swirling around, or they think all the answers are outside of them. Someone else has got the answers, but you're not allowed to have it, or you don't know the answers. Or you're worried about making a mistake, or sacrificing, or wasting time, energy, money, hurting somebody, hurting yourself, hurting your reputation. Right? So they lose focus on their dream, and they stay stuck staring at all the things that are all the reasons why they don't get to go for what they want. And as I said before, I shared a little bit about my backstory. When I worked out, I had all three of those problems. And so I started to lean into, what does transformation look like? And it's more than obviously all the major capital project methodologies I've used. I've certainly taken a lot of insights and lessons and key aspects of that to define, design, and deliver transformation with women. But it's about the investment here for me has been in me to be able to not just level up in my professional qualifications and things like that, but it's about in me, keep evolving. So the more I evolve, the more I get to give to women like you, being a lifelong learner. And I discovered through this process how to actually get past these three key aspects, these three key challenges. And I've tried and tested it, with women all around the world, right? All different sorts of niches, industries, stages, levels in their businesses, levels in their careers, early starters, C-suite executives, all the things, right? Because we all have one thing in common. We're all human. We all have the human condition of an unconscious mind that gets in our way. But what I know is not needing somebody else to keep you on the path all the time, like through every stage, by you doing this for you. Self-empowerment works because it's built on you being the epicenter of your life and of your career, aligned with your true self, your true choices. We work with results, right? Results don't lie. They just are feedback telling you what's in the way is the way, right? Self-empowerment in the way I teach it is a method, a systematic way to keep you clear, aligned, focused, moving forward, overcoming resistance. That's the big thing, right? Overcoming all the reasons why you tell yourself you don't get to have what you want. It puts you back in control. Nobody else has got the driver's seat. Not somebody outside of you, not circumstances, and certainly not your 5-year-old self. Because most people are driving around their car of life or their career car with their 5-year-old self at times driving the wheel, right? Crashing all over the place. No one put your 5-year-old child in the driver's seat these days. But people are walking around with their 5-year-old self still leading through their unconscious programs, right? You get to be the one doing the choosing. You get to be the one deeply embodied in calm confidence. You get to be the one owning your value, owning your voice, knowing how to connect with the people who are meant for you. You get to empower yourself to get past your limits, to evolve consciously into your next level, not just this next level, but every level thereafter, without feeling the hustle, the push, the worry, the stress, the sacrifices, all of that. And I know you'll wonder why you didn't feel it sooner. And now the 3 stages, right? Success needs a system. This is what's a key thing that I've learned through, a lot of the work that I've done in major capital projects, but also through the work that I do in evolving humans. Because you're going to work for your next chapter anyway, right? You're going to do something to get it. So why not do it in a way that's targeted, strategic, and actually get you the results instead of a trial and error? Go for what you want, but maybe it won't work out. All right. Do it in a way that actually is aligned with you, who you really are, what you're here for, what you want for yourself and your family and your loved ones, and your mission here, why you do what you do in your career. The first stage of this process, this journey, is a reset. Right? We have to do the reset. Whatever we're telling ourselves are the reasons why we can't have what we want, that's the path, right? That's the reset here. We have to be able to release the conditioning. Not fix ourselves, not keep trying to prove ourselves, but release conditioning, outdated, misaligned expectations, patterns that keep us looping around, staying stuck. We have to reconnect with who we really are, what really matters to you, without the noise or the pressure or expectations. Expectations from others or even expectations of a past version of yourself. Right? That was a big one for me. And Jenny, you resonated with me before when you said about your kids. That was a story I've been telling myself since I was 15. Can't have a career because I'm going to be a mum, and it's got to come second. But I tell you, the work that I do, I mean, my kids are 13 and 15 now, and like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, since they were little. The way they talk about me and my work now, it's like, wow, if I wasn't doing this, they would be, my 15-year-old talking about how his mates talk about young women. And he was gobsmacked. He's like, God, I would never say that. And I certainly would never say that in front of my mum. That's terrible. I'm like, wow, young man, I've done my job. If you have a beautiful appreciation for women in this world and you're only a 15-year-old young man, then yeah, part of my job is done here, right? But reconnecting with, who you really are and what you're here for and what your value and voice is. And when we do the reset, instead of going to apply strategies come, right? Strategies for influence, communication, expanding your capacity to receive as well, expansive thinking, all the things. The way we get to actually deliver in our career comes after the reset, right? Because this is what creates the difference between those who actually level up with ease, with alignment, with clarity, and those that stay stuck repeating patterns, yo-yo results, or just keep butting up against that ceiling that they're at. If you skip it or you get it wrong, you may create something else, but it's usually something that you've already had just in a new environment, right? Move jobs, different faces, same challenges, same things that trigger you, same story you're telling yourself about where you get to be at or what you get to have or receive. And you might feel better for a little while, but that plateau creeps up again, right? Something's missing because the deeper causes are not being addressed. The reset is not an optional phase, it's actually foundational. And this beautiful woman, Sarah, also in large scale projects in Western Australia, had an incredible career, and it was amazing, certainly on paper, right? Ticked all the boxes, but it didn't feel in alignment. Felt like she was, triggered easily. She felt like she was reacting to life. She was exhausted. Her health was compromised as well. And she really wanted to be able to be back in control. And she wanted to be the one who, decided what her direction would be. She wanted to be deeply motivated by it, really inspired again. And when she did the reset, she opened up that corridor. The corridor just opened up for her next dream job. She got the job. She chose it. She was able to shape it, reconnecting with what really mattered for her. Empowered in her health. Her health has gone to the next level. And embodied two really beautiful things actually for Sarah. Embodied in her full feminine energy. We're taught so much that the masculine energy, and I'm not talking gender here, right? The masculine energy is drive, performance, results, logistics, language, logic, pathways, systems, strategies, right? Drive, 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 perform, perform, perform. And that gets valued. All your performance management systems in corporate are all built on that. But the feminine energy of connection, of actual human to human, heart to heart relationships, of being able to tune into your inspiration, your intuition, your inner wisdom, your inner guidance, and bring that into your world, into your leadership, into your decision making, into your relationships with your colleagues, with your family, whoever it is massive. And what she took away was a beautiful, deep, calm confidence. Calm. Even when somebody else in high pressure construction environments, right? Projects, people lose their stuff, right? I don't know if any of you have worked in construction, but I know in construction, like there's a lot of wobblies getting thrown out there on site, especially when it's, pressure time in the project delivery. She is just moving through life with this beautiful, deep sense of calm confidence, a level of herself that, she never really expected she would. It was actually not something that she was looking for. She wanted purpose and direction, but she got that as well, but she obviously walked away with that as well. So when you think about where you're at, ladies, what are you ready to release in order to activate your next chapter? What are you done with? What are you done with? And if you were to know, like, that no one would get hurt, that you couldn't fail, that things would just always work out for you, what would your next chapter look like? If you were doing it from full alignment with who you really are and what you're here for, what would it look like? You know, when I first asked myself this question, in fact, it took me a little while, I think, to really answer it. I didn't know. I was so conditioned, so conditioned. I didn't even know what I wanted. And that's okay. That's the answer. I don't know what I want, but I know I want to know what I want. It's what I hung my hat on. I don't have clarity yet, but I want clarity. That's what I want. Deep, aligned clarity that feels so good that I get my tingles on my crown of my head every day. And I do, right? The second step of this journey, the 3 stages, is recalibrate. Once you're actually feeling super clear where you're going, what your mission is, who you really are, it's all in alignment with you, then it's the recalibration. And the recalibration is not fixing you, because you're not broken and you never were. And all the stories you've told yourself about why why you weren't good enough, or you can't have what you want, they are just a paradigm you've been living from within. Right? This recalibration is the next level of your conscious evolution. Humans are designed to evolve, right? Humanity is designed to evolve, but we do it consciously, self-directed. Because when we want to feel really confident about having all that we want for this next chapter, it's not something you acquire, like you have to earn it, earn confidence. It's an embodiment. It's not a fake it till you make it strategy, right? And that confidence that you're seeking, that power within yourself is not missing. It's not gone somewhere. It's just buried under all those layers of who you thought you needed to be. Right? And recalibration is the process of releasing the layers and bringing forward your truth, your inner power, your wisdom, your highest potential. And when you do that, that internal set point that we were talking about, your thermostat starts to rise. And when your thermostat rises, you get to be the container, right? The bigger container to call in and receive the next level of what you're really wanting. Whether it's in career, I like to think of it, for me, certainly, life's like a 3-legged stool, right? Career is one leg. Just like a 3-legged stool, you need all 3 legs to be solid in order for the stool to stay firm and for you to stand on it or sit on it, right? Career is one leg. Your life, your relationships, your hobbies, your wealth, your assets, whatever it is you've got in your adventures, that's another leg, life. And the third leg is you. It's actually the first leg, right? You, your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being. So holistic success, right? When you start to create an identity that says you get to have all of that, that's when the external results start to show up. Because you can't activate and receive and call in that next level from an old identity, a past level identity of you. Because that level, like I said, got to give you the coffee cup size results. The recalibration is not just defining the next level identity, it's the embodiment of it, right? The becoming of you, becoming the container. It's more than just thinking differently. There's strategies and structures that actually help you align your identity, your energy, and your actions with your next level of success, building that unshakable confidence, strengthening that inner authority, intuition, instead of taking actions that are actually driven by fear. Because what happens there, and I'll just use this elastic band to show you, right? You can all see my elastic band, right? When you're anchored over here in fear, right? This is my hair tie. You're anchored over here in fear, and you go and do something to prove that you're okay, to prove that you're a good person, to prove that you're worthy, deserving, capable. You go and do all of that. What happens when you pull that elastic band far enough, right? 2 things. 1, it breaks, or 2, it snaps back. That's yo-yo results, because we keep moving away from what we don't want. But the key there is your subconscious mind still gets the message that this is where you need to focus on all the things you don't want, and all your actions are driven by that. But when you move into first the reset, then into the recalibration, aligning everything in your life with what is actually meant for you. And then you check in, how are things now? It's like pulling back the bow of an arrow, right? You pull back the bow of an arrow, but where does it go, right? It moves you towards what you want. So this is what I call mind hacking. This is the absolute strategy that foundationally, when we understand where we're oriented, that we can actually move beyond it by using key things that help us not only shift our identity, but shift our energy and our actions to align with the outcomes that we really want. So that's the recalibration. When we start to break through, we get to be the woman who naturally rises, right? Because our inner world is matching the results we want in our outer world. Those who don't are still going to circle around, stuck at the crossroads, move through hesitation, live from hesitation, worries, fears, and all those things that you've been avoiding are the things that keep persisting. What we resist persists. I don't know if you've heard that before. The recalibration is when we get to not just change our thinking, we evolve our thinking, we evolve our identity. Everything starts to shift from there. Our emotions, our energy, our capacity to receive, our actions, things become effortless, our motivation, all of that. And we finally get to call in and receive the life we've been desiring. And what happens when you don't do this? When your identity isn't calibrated to your next level? You say yes when you want to say no. You play small, you stay at the same level, even though you've got untapped potential. You hesitate, you miss out on opportunities. You second guess yourself, that imposter syndrome keeps swirling around. You keep really busy doing all the things that make you feel like you're really, you're doing something, but you're not. You're just swirling around doing things that are keeping you busy, right? And that's exhausting. You cap your earnings, you cap your potential, you cap your impact, your legacy, your influence, right? You can't have what you want. Your dreams might keep growing, or you have your dream there, but you won't be able to receive it because your own identity won't let you. Right? The old way of doing things, trying to fake confidence, pushing harder, doing more, overthinking every decision, analysis paralysis, scenario planning, or waiting for somebody else to tell you you're ready or give you the opportunity. The new way, this is what I call the self-empowered woman way. That's what we're here for, right? Embodying the identity of the next level results we want, trusting ourselves, tuning into our own inner authority, feeling grounded, that grounded, calm confidence I talked about with Sarah, right? And when we have that, opportunities expand, opportunities align, opportunities show up. You think about people who are in flow, we've all met them. Things happen for them and easily. It's because they're in alignment and in flow. And then when you get to do that for yourself, you get to create these opportunities, those connections. You get to move forward in times where you would have doubted yourself before, right? You're not faking it anymore. You're actually embodying deep self-trust and self-confidence. And momentum builds. It's like the Fibonacci sequence. I don't know if you've heard about that. But it starts off slow, but it starts to then accelerate, and then it becomes exponential. But we've got to go through the reset in order to get on the right trajectory, right? Like Belinda. Belinda is an amazing woman. I love working with Belinda. She's an executive level, and she was telling herself the story that at her level, she couldn't change industry and she couldn't break through the glass ceiling. And somebody else kept telling her this is where she's at, and she was waiting for the time, waiting for to be ready, waiting for them to give the opportunity. But when we worked through this and we helped release those the paradigm that she'd been living within and the identity that kept her capped at that level, right? She was able to move beyond. Not only did she change industry, not only did she move into the C-suite, was able to do it with ease. She was the one who set the bar in that selection process. She got to do the choosing. She got to set her salary, her bonuses, her flexibility, the day she worked, where she was located, so many things. Not only that, from that, she was able to land a board role from there. That was another thing. She was a beautiful example of a portfolio career that she was wanting to create for herself. So a side business, mentoring in business, the C-suite job that she wanted with all the bells and whistles that went with it, and the purpose and impact that comes with that, and a board role. I mean, the results align when we are the next level first. Right? It's not the other way around. People think that we have to get the results in order to feel that we're at that level now, but it's not. You have to become it first before the results can flow into your world. Right? So if you think about who you are now, you're not the woman you were 5 years ago. I know I wasn't. I'm not the woman I was last year. I'm doing this work constantly, right? Evolving, letting go of layers. It's like layers of the onion when you start peeling back the work here. You think about who is the woman in your world you need to be. How does she think, behave, walk, talk, act, decide? What is her aligned way of being that aligns with the next level results? Right? Think about who you are becoming. This is what's critical here. Then the third phase here is rising. This is putting all of that into action. And there's some key things here. And I shared with you a little sneak peek of the concept before with the elastic band. But obviously, there's a lot more to that. I just gave you the high level there. But this phase is about integration, right? Where I call it where strategy meets soul. The logical, left brain, masculine energy meets the intuitive, inspired, wisdom driven, feminine energy, your soul, what you're really here for. And when we have a beautiful harmony, we actually get to create from wholeness. Right? Society taught us to value only that, mostly that masculine energy, and the feminine energy had certain roles to play, and you had to put them in those boxes in life. You couldn't bring them all to the workplace. Don't bring your emotions to the workplace. Gosh, don't do that. Right? But when you get to actually create from wholeness, this is what the world actually needs. You think about who the best leaders have been in your world, if you've had great leaders, right? If you have got an example of somebody who's been a great leader in your world, even if you weren't led by them personally, somebody who you know or you know of, they leave people feeling incredible. The impact we get to have on other people's lives, we get to be that. We get to be that woman, right? So when we do that, when we rise, it absolutely keeps us, in that zone of rising. We get to propel ourselves forward. And those who are not, they're still asking other people for the answers, wondering why the results haven't shown up. They're getting triggered by other people or situations continually, right? And they're outsourcing their need for validation, outsourcing their confidence, outsourcing their personal power. They're struggling with influence, struggling to land what the next level opportunities are. They're pushing harder, they're exhausted, right? But those who aren't, fully trusting themselves, right? Embodied in their confidence, connected to their, connected to their inner authority, right? They're guided by their inner authority. When this is alignment is not integrated, not activated and integrated, you keep recreating from your old limits, repeating past cycles, and it keeps pulling you back, just like that elastic band, deactivating your potential and deactivating possibilities that were otherwise out there for you, right? Now, if you want to get beyond that, right, you want to stay in flow, then when you are activated in this way, when you are fully equipped to rise beyond your limits, get yourself beyond your limits, giving yourself those structures around decision making, around intuition, around information, about how to move yourself forward, how to stop outsourcing your power to somebody else who gets to be the decision maker over whether you get the next step, right? You get to propel yourself forward consistently, sustainably. So there's some key things I want to just take a little deeper dive here into the rise stage, because this is really important. One of them is what I call success rhythms. If we don't have a strategy, a structure in place, habits that we create from, then the inevitability is that our unconscious mind, our learned self, is going to take the steering wheel of your life and your career again and head you back into that very familiar zone. Success rhythms are what keep us aligned and focused, right? And so now I have some key practices that I use, and it's a framework that obviously I share with ladies that work with me. But what's important about this is that what tools work for me, the way I work visually in with my auditory senses, all the things, and my lifestyle is different to yours. That's why I call it a framework. And it's the habits that we create for ourselves. And there's very, effective tools that I share with you, but I help ladies create their own suite of tools. That's what matters here. Not just in your personal world, but in your professional world, right? Leadership success system and a personal success system. The second of the structures that are really important in rising is how to get past that resistance. Remember that question I asked you before? I'd love to have all of that, but I can't. That's just resistance. Your own learned version self resisting the path that your heart wants you to pursue, right? And there's a practical way to actually move beyond that, a method that helps you real time in the moment deal with and dissolve that resistance, not hit override, because what happens then is you try to quieten the noises and they just come back roaring at you, right? We want to dissolve the triggers. This stage is about aligned, powerful action, right? When you create from alignment, the action feels natural. It feels easy. It feels like you're in flow, not forcing yourself, not trying to figure it out, thinking that you don't know the way, right? And when you make that shift, you start to really believe in yourself that you are the creator of your own destiny. You get to communicate with clear boundaries. You get to claim what you really want. You get to totally trust yourself, your own inner authority, when you learn how to access it, right? Intuition is something that every single person has. But unfortunately, through our conditioning, we're taught to devalue that, to not trust it. How many times, I'm sure, if you could think of a time where you knew something, you had a little nudge and you didn't listen to yourself. And sure enough, the thing you thought, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And the thing that happened, you didn't want, the result you didn't want, because we ignored our own intuition, those little nudges that we get. We've all had those experiences. But when you're embodied, when you know how to do this and you integrate it as part of your way of being, right? You get to create from ease. You get to stay on the path. You get to navigate forward with the most accurate map you are ever going to need. Your intuition absolutely tells you this, right? So now just take a little moment to reflect. What is one belief, one behavior, one boundary, whatever it is for you, that your next level self can embody or does embody, and how can you start practicing that today? What's something that is absolutely aligned? Before, the question I asked you was, what are you no longer tolerating? Now the shift is, what's that next level version of you? All right, just drop it in the chat. What's the thing that you feel that you are ready for? Okay, just noticing the comments. Diversity, yeah. Feminine, yeah, absolutely. The feminine energy is suppressed. But I tell you, the lady Sarah, who I shared with you just before, she's a powerhouse in a very masculine dominated industry, and her feminine energy leads, and it's fabulous. And feminine energy doesn't mean weak, right? This is about knowing what your aspects of your feminine energy is. We do a lot of work in archetypes, feminine energy archetypes, to be able to access all those parts of us. Yeah. Yeah, when you don't, of course, you feel aligned. Yeah. Yeah, understanding what your worth is and you have to offer. Absolutely, Tracy, right? All these little micro shifts, they compound. Now, you might be thinking at this moment, yeah, sure, Janine, I'm not as confident as you, or I don't really know what I want, or maybe I do know what I want, but I don't think I can have it. I'm worried about what the impact of having what I want will be. I don't have the time. Maybe it's not the right time. I'm too busy. I'm not sure. I'm worried that I don't have what it takes for the next level, right? We're holding ourselves back. Those, some of our desires that we want, or some of our reasons that we think are obvious, right? But then there's the deeper ones. That may be the ones that we haven't even said to anyone else. Like, I'm worried I don't have what it takes, right? Looking outside of ourselves for the support. And, this beautiful lady, Shalini, she was in that state. It was in the COVID period. I think, Jenny, you might have mentioned the COVID challenges before. A lot of people struggled in that time. And Shalini was really feeling lost, stuck in overwhelm. She was ready to quit and she didn't have a plan. And I don't recommend that. I always think when no matter where you're at, I get people to really be able to harness the opportunity and springboard, right? And if it's not good for you, obviously you need to get out of there. But every opportunity is an opportunity, I feel. But where she was out feeling stuck and capped, these are her words. This work showed her the huge potential that she has in her life now, right? When you take back control, when you're actually able to rise above your own limits and really connect in with that version of you who you're meant to be and what you're here for, what you're capable of, what your heart's calling for. And it's not just Shalini, obviously. There's so many ladies who have walked this journey. I totally get it. But I believe what you need to be thinking is not all those reasons why you can't go forward. It's, what if I don't have to go it alone? If there's an easier way? What if I, have to go through this? What can I really afford not to level up internally? That's what I am at. When I have a barrier, when I get a result I don't like, when I'm feeling triggered, I lean into that now. What is here? If I keep ignoring the thing that's resisting in my life, it keeps coming back. Right? But when you learn how to empower yourself, to lead yourself in a new way, a grounded, authentic, clear, confident way, your next level opportunities naturally